Now, Africa Energy Week is an annual event that brings together leaders, innovators, and experts in the energy sector to discuss and shape the future of energy in Africa. As the continent grapples with the dual challenges of providing access to energy for its growing population while transitioning into sustainable and cleaner sources, AEW emerges as a pivotal platform. This year's edition of AEW is scheduled from the 16th to the 20th of October in Cape Town, South Africa. And with less than a week to go, expectations are high. The AEW 2023 theme, the African Energy Renaissance, prioritizing energy, poverty, people, and the planet, industrialization, and free market, underscores the importance of shaping the energy landscape in Africa. Now let's bring in Arise business correspondent and Arise exchange anchor, Boason Omofaye, as he joins us from Cape Town. Boason, I want to say thank you very much this wonderful afternoon. Now, good to have you, Boason. Please take us through the Africa Energy Week 2023 happening in Cape Town, South Africa.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aaron. You just provided the umbrella for the conversation about Africa's energy renaissance, focusing on how to reduce energy poverty in Africa by the year 2030. Also making sure that Africa's energy is focused on people, but also focused on climate adaptation, which is the planet, industrialization that the Africa seriously need. And the final pillar is the free market. Where do we find the needed financing and funding that is hundreds of billions of dollars that the continent needs, not only to provide energy access, but to provide also clean energy that will drive the continent forward, that will create jobs, that will also help Africa to take ownership of its own natural resources. All of this will be under the conversation over the next couple of days, with the plenary starting tomorrow, Tuesday, the 17th of October. So thousands of delegates, as you said. There's going to be a whole lot of folks stepping down here in South Africa. An estimated 4,000 delegates from the United States, from Saudi Arabia, for example. You've got the energy minister from Saudi Arabia stepping down here with Saudi Aramco, one of the largest energy companies in the world, with Total Energies, oil companies and energy companies from Nigeria, from Uganda, from Angola, Senegal. Everyone is here looking to have this conversation around how do we get more investments locked into Africa's energy space? How do we harvest Africa's oil and gas, coal, hydrogen, and other forms of clean energy to power the continent moving forward? Aaron.
Well, Boason, key conversations at the event includes bringing energy responsibly to more than 600 million people in Africa without access to electricity and over 900 million with no access to clean cooking fuel. What more can you tell us?
Well, this is the real issue here, because the continent is sitting on so much energy resources, whether it is coal, whether it is oil and gas, hydrogen, water, wind, whatever you talk about it. The whole energy basket is here on the continent, but we haven't really been able to harvest all of this put together to deliver energy access in a cheap manner to hundreds of millions of people on the continent. We're looking at 1.2 billion people on the African continent. We need to power hospitals, we need to power schools, we need to power industrialization. We're producing a whole lot that we need to do. We need to industrialize the continent. So energy is at the heart of this conversation. But again, globally, the conversation is changing about how we need to move forward to the next level of a clean energy that will be for the benefit of everyone. We need to live on a cleaner and a better planet. And that is one conversation that will also be here. But again, we need money. The continent needs all the financing that it can get from within the continent, from outside. So much is being wasted. For example, if you look at Africa exporting most of its natural resources and just gets talking back to the continent. So the new wave around the continent right now, for example, to domesticate production of lithium, on the continent is one of the conversations that will be taking place here. We want to also see what will be the single voice that Africa will have moving into COP28 summit, which will happen in the next couple of months. All that will be in conversation here. Involving women in the energy transition and the energy future for Africa will also be part of what will be discussed here, including youth as well in the entire energy mix for the future. Every hands on board, youth, men and women, bringing everybody together under the same umbrella. And that's why one of the key focus will be for the presidents of key African countries and energy ministers to speak to what they are bringing to the table in their various jurisdictions to ensure that Africa can finance its own future and lean on partnerships, both private and public, that can come from outside the continent. And we have to do it as fast and quickly as yesterday.
All right, Boason, before we let you go, talk to us about Nigeria's involvement in this Africa Energy Week. And because you know, our energy sector is a little bit volatile, looking at it, the way it's actually been oscillating over the last couple of months. Talk to us, Nigeria's involvement and more importantly, participation, and what we should take out of this.
Well, headlining this particular conference, the African Energy Week for Nigeria, as a former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, of course, you know, he's a champion of energy industrialization and energy poverty reduction for the African continent. He will be speaking tomorrow, Tuesday, on a one-on-one, as it were. The NNPC Group Managing Director will be here. You've got folks from the gas sector. The whole idea to have a gas special economic zone in the Niger Delta, they've set up a shop here, they did an exhibition. I've met with about 2 or 3 of the officials who are also looking to sell the whole idea of energy gas market, industrialize and a park in Nigeria, multi-billion dollars project. They are also here on the ground. The NNPC is making exhibitions. The NNPC is selling its new future as a private entity moving forward at this very particular event. Then you've got folks from the private sector as well, those who are in the mainstream, upstream as well as downstream sector. I've met with a number of folks who are doing marginal oil field in Nigeria, those who are working on modular refineries. All of them are exhibiting. They are also speaking on the various panels from tomorrow, when you have the GMD of the NNPC Military speaking in the morning, among other speakers. Then you've got the Nigerian Content Management Development Board, the SCMDB. Simbi Wambote is expected here tomorrow as well. They'll be having a session that is focused on that. Later this evening, they have a meeting, a private meeting with some of investors and those who will be interested in local content and supporting Nigeria in that way forward. So as far as energy is concerned, everyone is looking up to Nigeria. We have the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, which is in place. How quickly can Nigeria get that up and running? How will the new administration focus on a whole lot more to do, having taken full subsidy out of the basket? How do you replace it? How do we get billions of dollars investment into both the upstream and the downstream sector? So I'm going to be sitting down here and listening to all the top Nigerian officials, from the oil and gas to the rest of the industry, in terms of how to power Africa industrialization and moving forward. 200 million people plus. Nigeria is in sharp focus here for everyone who's here at this conference. Aaron.
Arise Business Correspondent, Boason Omofaye, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.